On today's Retro Spot, we'll be having a look at the Kenner Superman Man of Steel Power Flight Superman. Power Flight Superman features takeoff force arm action. I have no idea what that means. But I am going to say, though, if you've been looking for just a classic regular Superman figure, this is probably your best bet from the Kenner line. On the back of the package, it says, join forces with the most powerful being of all time. The legendary Man of Steel Superman and his team of superpowered allies are mankind's ultimate weapon against the most fearsome, unstoppable villains in the galaxy. Other figures you can get in the set. But Power Flight Superman, of course, Laser Superman, Steel, Conduit, Superboy, and then there's also a couple of 2-packs, Superman vs. Massacre, and Hunter Prey, Superman vs. Doomsday. Down below, position figure's arms at his sides, flick right arm upwards with finger, making arms and head rise to flight position. Attach chained figure's wrists and wrap around another figure for capturing. Don't worry, we'll get into that when I get this out of the package. Speaking of getting this out of the package, I'm going to take a bit of a break. I'm going to get this out, and then when we come back, we're going to get a better look at Power Flight Superman. Stay tuned, guys. There's more on the way. First, getting it out of the way, Superman does come with a trading card featuring those same chain shackles. Pretty nice work, I must say. Oh, and also there's a read-up on the back. Legendary Man of Steel possesses powers and abilities far beyond those of ordinary mortals. His courage and high ideals have made him the world's greatest champion for truth, justice, and the good of all mankind. They've changed that slightly. Superman's Kryptonian body acts as a living solar battery that absorbs the sun's energy to give him superhuman powers that include tremendous strength and speed, the ability to fly through force of will, X-ray vision to see clearly through solid objects, and heat vision to burn through objects. The only thing I'm missing in this is freeze breath. No love for the freeze breath. Oh well. Let's have a look at Superman. Whoop, not too much. I can say for starters, I don't like his head. The face sculpt on his head is a little, I don't know. He's got really, really sunken in cheekbones. A little too much for Superman, if you ask me. I mean, that aside, the body as a whole is pretty good. I also even like the fact that it's a little lopsided, but I also like the fact that they've at least incorporated an S on the Superman cape. This is probably one of my more favorite Superman capes. I really like the sculpt. The sculpt on the cape is really nice. I even like how it kind of, curves down, I guess. If they could only incorporate this mold of a cape on like some of the other like DC Universe capes and stuff like that, that would be really nice. It does look like the cape pegs in. I guess it's easy if you want your Superman without a cape. The unfortunate part, though, is pegging it in. You can see, yes, it's an area on his neck where the cape clearly doesn't connect to anything. It just kind of floats, making most people then wonder, oh my god, I wonder how that cape pegs into Superman. It doesn't. It's will. That's all it is, folks. It's will that allows the cape to stay on Superman. I like the emblem on there. It's done really, really well. Again, the belt is done well. I mean, the figure as a whole is really nice. As for his gimmick, this is where it gets kind of ridiculous. You take his arm, you could take either arm, and just basically flick it. When you flick it with your hand, it basically does that. It's supposed to make him look like he's flying, but Superman doesn't tend to have his arms so far up when he's flying. Usually they're more like that. I don't know what. It's a shame that they couldn't have put like a stopper or something so the arms didn't go as far back as they did. It also seems to control his head. Whoops. It also controls his head, which I'll zoom in quickly. That when you raise his arms, it raises his head. It's not enough, really, that I think it's worth something that they could have included in the head, because unfortunately that means it loses all articulation in the head. You can't do anything aside from this, and that really does nothing. But that's his gimmick. As for his other accessory, Superman does come with this kind of chain bracelet gauntlet thing. It's not supposed to be shackles. However, what you can do is peg them into his wrists, like so. I don't have a figure, unfortunately, on hand that I can show you. This is where I have to say, suspend some disbelief, use your imagination. You would actually have your figure's arms, the villain's arms, intertwined, interwoven in this kind of chain, whatever, and Superman would be carrying the villain. I don't know if Superman is so ego-driven that even carrying villains away, he has to use something that has his own branding on it. Oh well. You can also pretend, too, that Superman is shackled, but this is a little crazy excess if it was just shackling. Just take these off. In the way of Superman's articulation, he basically does that. That's it. What? Spot? What? Sorry? He also does that? Well, that's not really articulation, it just basically flips up and down. Still, it's not a bad figure if you really want just a token Superman. No bells, no whistles. If you basically just want a Superman figure from Kenner, it's not a bad bet. Unfortunately, though, I think the gimmick kind of kills some of it, and I don't know. I don't like the head. The head sculpt is just a little too weird. Superman's a little old. At any rate, though, Power Flight Superman, despite the fact that his gimmick's a little ridiculous, Power Flight Superman, I am going to give him a 6. There he is. Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Kenner Superman Man of Steel. Oh, by the way, it was a retro spot. Spot getting ahead of himself. Today's retro spot, thank you. Today's retro spot, we're having a look at the Kenner Superman Man of Steel. We're looking at Power Flight. Doing that. Power Flight Superman. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time.